Last month, 42-year-old Eric Smith was released from prison after being locked up for 28 years. 48 Hours has been following his case since 1993, when Smith was then 13 years old, and he killed 4-year-old Derek Roby in a fit of rage. On this week's show, Jim Axelrod looks at the controversial decision to let him go free.
We never forget our boy. He was, a wonderful child, and we miss him terribly. Happy birthday to you. I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
For almost 3 decades, Doreen and Dale Roby have lived with the anguish of that day in 1993.
He says, "I love you, Mom," and he went hopping off the sidewalk.
When they learned their adored little boy had been lured into the woods, strangled, and beaten with rocks. If that wasn't horrific enough, his killer was a red-headed, freckle-faced child. Eric Smith was tried as an adult.
All rise.
And convicted of murdering Derek Roby.
So you find the defendant guilty of murder in the second degree?
Yes.
Smith's sentence was 9 years to life.
Take the young man in custody.
But it would also be a life sentence for the Robys once Smith became eligible for parole in 2002.
They could decide that, he's done his time and we're going to let him go.
Every 2 years, Smith was back before the board, and the Robys would have to relive their son's murder and fight to make sure his killer's parole was denied.
It's not fair that we have to keep doing this.
The news the Robys had been dreading came after Eric Smith's 11th appearance before the board, when he was finally granted parole. And, as he told WENY-TV in 2009, he had big plans for his future.
I want to, get married, raise a family, pursue the American dream.
About that tall.
John Tunney, who prosecuted Smith's case, says it's too early to know if that'll happen.
At the end of the day, still a little bit of a gamble.
Oh, no, it's a huge gamble. This parole decision is a high-risk enterprise, to be sure.
And Jim joins us now in the studio. Jim, we were saying how, we remember this story, as do millions of Americans. Now that Eric Smith is released, where is he living? That's the first question.
Well, he's in Queens, New York, about 200 miles from Savona. He had wanted, actually, to go back to Savona, live with his mother. The community was like, no
way.
We're not having it. Can you imagine if you are the Robys and you're in the one store in town, grocery store, and look who's behind you in line. So the parole board agreed with the community's protest, very vocal sense of not happening. So he's in Queens.
Do we know anything more about his plans now?
Well, the whole point of the parole process when he was finally granted parole was, hey, look, I'm a changed guy. I'm a changed man. He says that he wants to go to college and counsel other bullied children. He even says he has a fiance, somebody who wrote him talking about criminal justice, who that relationship continued. So he says, I'm a changed man and I want to help. But again, as John Tunney just said, and as we get into tomorrow night on 48 Hours, that's the question that underpins the entire enterprise when you think about this. Can someone who did what he did
be rehabilitated?
Can they change?
Yeah, can they change? So the Robys, as you point out in that tease video, fought really, really hard to keep Eric Smith behind bars. He's now free. How difficult has this decision been for them? What are they saying now? Because they went every time that parole board was meeting, they were there front and center.
Vlad, I got to tell you, the heroes, if we can use that word in a story that is obviously so tragic and heartbreaking, are the Robys. They are remarkable people. And one thing they said was, look, this has been draining for us. Every 2 years, a letter would come at Christmas time saying he's about to be, there's another hearing, and then they would have to relive it and sort of argue again why he should stay. Imagine the upheaval. So as they said to me, and we'll get into tomorrow night, there's this sense of, look, we want this guy to be punished. Obviously, he's given us a life sentence. But in a way, they're free. They're free from having every 2 years to go to this parole hearing and represent their son in a way. And so the fact that they're wrestling that kind of positivity out of this most harrowing of circumstance is remarkably impressive.
Yeah.
But wait, just real quick. I know we got to go, but what changed in the parole board's mind? I mean, for every year that he was up there, they denied him parole, and then.
We'll get into this.
Okay, I don't want to. Okay.
We'll get into this tomorrow night, but let me just say this: the whole hour, the undergirding the entire hour is this question: what's the point of criminal justice system? Is it to punish? Or is it to rehabilitate? Tomorrow night, 10 o'clock, 9 Eastern, 48 hours.
I think that's the question many people ask themselves.
9 Central.
9 Central. I think that is the question that many people ask themselves when the crime occurred.
Yes.
When we saw this face of this little boy.
That's right.
And we all started to ask ourselves, like, what is the point of what do we want the outcome to be with this horrific crime? There's no good answer.
Really looking forward to this one, Jim. Thank you very much. Appreciate it as always. And you can see Jim's report, Eric Smith, Gambling on a Killer, on your local CBS station and Paramount Plus tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern. You can also stream it right here on CBS News Wednesday night at 8 Eastern.